while I was growing up, there was no such thing as film industry. Like, I didn't know anybody who did this. But I always had a very strong relationship with film. To this day, like watching a movie, and going to the theater, which I wasn't doing much growing up, but just like having the opportunity to see a story and, get engulfed in that. And when it was time for me to choose to go to a college, it was just a coincidence that they were starting a film school in my hometown. So I kind of took that as a sign. It was like, okay, I'm doing this. So I went to it without like having a big plan of like, what am I gonna do? Like, how is life gonna turn out? I like this. There's an opportunity, so I'm gonna do it.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Be the Train podcast. Super excited for our guest today, Andressa Cordeiro, who is actually an AFI alum and good friend of mine. We went to AFI together. She is a cinematographer. She's from Brazil. She's been here for 15 years doing amazing work. And I'm really excited to deep dive with her about what it's like to be a creative and a cinematographer in LA.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. So we always like to start the podcast with this question. What does Be the Train mean to you?
So for me, it has a lot to do with like having your own opinion about things. I feel like in the industry or in life in general, a lot of people try to sell you things. Or like if you're in the industry, they try to tell you how things are done and how, it's usually done. So I feel like we, especially artists, we have this gut feeling of what's right for us and what will work for us, and just making sure that you are in that train of thought and you are not just doing things because it's a convention, especially now because things are changing so fast in the industry. That, just making sure that you always check with yourself of what are your core values and why you want to do this in the first place. And then, kind of keep on track with that. One thing that I like to think sometimes is like, for example, Bad Bunny, right? We all love him. And I am sure that whenever he said to anybody that he wanted to break in the American industry, the music industry, everybody was like, but you have to sing in English. That's a convention, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he was true to himself all the time. He's like, no, I don't have to do that. I'm going to be who I am. And then he got to be who he is.
Yeah.
So I like that example. I love that story, and I love seeing his success with that because it's what I tried to do. And just making sure that I know who I am and why I want to do the things that I want to do. And then when that noise comes of like, no, but you have to be this or you have to do that, that doesn't really get into me and in my goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how did you get here? So you're from Brazil.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up and how did you get to LA? And how have you, managed? It's very, very hard to be working in LA as a cinematographer, female cinematographer.
That's right.
No, I mean, it just is. And so like, tell us a little bit about how did you get here and how have you been kind of staying in this working position?
So, I grew up in Brazil, and I'm not even from the big film hubs in Brazil that are São Paulo and Rio. I'm from Curitiba, that's like more in the south, close to Argentina. And while I was growing up, there was no such thing as film industry. Like, I didn't know anybody who did this. But I always had a very strong relationship with films. To this day, like watching a movie, and going to the theater, which I wasn't doing much growing up, but just like having the opportunity to see a story and, get engulfed in that. And when it was time for me to choose to go to a college, it was just a coincidence that they were starting a film school in my hometown. So I kind of took that as a sign. It was like, okay, I'm doing this.
Oh, wow.
So I went to it without like having a big plan of like, what am I going to do? Like, how is life going to turn out? I just like, I like this. There's an opportunity. So I'm going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And throughout college, I learned that I wanted to be close to the camera. So I was probably a DP. And then in 2010, I came to the States to actually study English.
Okay.
I went to San Francisco for a month.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, everybody who ever been to San Francisco will relate that that city is a dream.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to be here forever. And I had to be there only for 30 days because at the time I was working, I was actually a sound effects editor in Brazil at the time. And I was working in the studio. And so I was like, okay, but I'm going to move here. And then because I want to work in the film industry, I'm going to go to LA. And I went back for 6 months just to like close everything that I had and just like say my goodbyes.
In Brazil?
In Brazil, yeah. And then 6 months after that, I was moving here. That was March 14, 2011. So maybe when this goes to air, it's going to be exactly like 15 years that I've been here. Yeah, I remember arriving at the LAX with my like 2 huge luggages and a piece of paper with an address that I found on Craigslist. It was like,
But so did you not have, so because when you arrived, you were not at AFI yet.
No.
So what did you think you were doing? Like, what did you think you were doing? Or were you going to study or were you going to work or what was your vision?
Yeah, so I actually was going to UCLA Extension to study cinematography.
I did that too.
You did?
Yeah, as a producer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. High five.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I didn't know about AFI. So UCLA Extension is a program that's for people that are already working. So you're not there all the time. You have a few classes at night. So I was like filling in my time with anything film related, like trying to go to sets as much as I could. And I learned that Mo Richardson, the lighting company at the time, they were taking kind of interns, volunteers in their stage. So anybody who wanted to hang out around lights and learn about like how to put a C-stand and like how to distribute power. So you could go there and like get your set practice without, you could go there. And I stayed there for a few months, like going every day that I could. And then Larry Parker, the owner of Mo Richardson, who was always hanging out around the stage, he told me about AFI.
Oh, wow.
He was like, you should apply to AFI. But at that time, I was finishing UCLA Extension, but I had gone to 2 colleges in Brazil.
Okay.
And I was like, Larry, I really don't want to go back to a desk and like study again. Yeah. I really feel like going to sets. I was like so energetic about it. It's like, no, you don't understand. Yeah. AFI is a very hands-on program.
It is.
If you go there, you will going to be shooting a lot and then helping your friends in their shoots. So, and then he offered to write me a recommendation letter, and he was a guest speaker at AFI. So that was very good for my application. And I got another ASC cinematographer to do the other letter. And like with those 2 people supporting me and all the other requirements, then I went to AFI. Yeah. So but when I first arrived here, it was like I was just really just figuring out, everything was so new. And it's funny because sometimes you see like people arriving here and you see that spark of like falling in love with California. And yeah, it's nice to be remembered of that.
So how was AFI for you? Do you feel like when you look at your career now, like how much do you think AFI had to do with, where your career took you and like, was it worth it? Like, did you love it?
AFI was a baptism by fire. And I think any cinematographer would say the same. It's such an intense program for us. Like you have no social life in the first year at all. My mom was like, Facebook messaging my friends. This is like I'm dating myself by saying Facebook messages. But they were like, do you know about her? Because I haven't heard from her in like 2 weeks. That was AFI. It was crazy. But the amount of people that I got to connect with that were like truly friends and helped me figuring this out, because I was a sound effects editor in Brazil, as I said, and I didn't have that much set experience. I had 1 year here in LA going for, but like my friends were like union first ACs, union electrics, and they really took me under their wing to like put me up to speed. Like, this is how a set really works. And also like meeting people like you. Like, I remember when we like on AFI the very first day, we screen our work and then we present ourselves. And I remember you so clearly because Selena is very fashion forward. So that's the very first thing you realize when you see her walking around. You go like, wow, good style, girl.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she was sitting kind of in the back in the theater, the auditorium that we were screening our work. And you go like, I have done this, I have done that. I know I look very girly, but I'm a man. You said those words.
I said that?
You said that. I'm a man. And I was like, that was like inspiration 100%. That's
so interesting. I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, I remember that so well. And it was
I said I'm very girly, but I'm a man.
Yeah, I know. It was something like, I know I look very girly, or I know I look like feminine or something. But I remember you saying, but I'm a man.
Or did I say I'm a boss?
You said I'm a man. That I remember very well.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I would say that.
It was so inspiring for me because, you know, like, cinematography, as you were saying, like very male dominated, you know, and it was just like, it's okay for you to be a girl and take this like head on. And it was so inspiring.
Space.
Yeah, take that space. Yes.
I definitely take up space.
You did, and you do. That's right. Yes.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm glad.
But
that's so funny.
But you were a boss too.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's funny because I feel like I wouldn't say I'm a man, but I feel like if that's what you remember, I don't know. But I know that I feel like I'm allowed to take up space in that way.
Yes, I mean, dating ourselves, this is like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole like boss term at the time, like we weren't using it. So I guess that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Because conventionally, and that's hard to say, but bosses are men. So I think that's what you meant when you say I'm a man. Like, I can take this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember that very well. It was really cool.
So what has it been like for you being a female cinematographer working in LA for the past 15 years?
It has been like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really doubt yourself, like, because conventionally people do take you by your looks sometimes. And taking on that, like, seeing how you present yourself and like how you feel very, you know, a big boss.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was like shutting off my feminine side.
Yeah.
You know,
I can see.
Just using big baggy t-shirts and like, cause you know, you're supposed to be more, if you're going in this very technical field, you're supposed to be more a tomboy.
Yeah.
And it's been like a few years now that I am like, no, it's very powerful to be a woman.
Yeah.
And to be feminine as a woman, you know? So kind of like taking that back. Because I feel like I like to think that I'm a very feminine woman.
Yeah.
I was fighting that out of me for the longest time. It's like, no, I'm one of the guys. But it wasn't really truly me, you know? So I was getting out of my train in a sense. I was like buying this convention that I had to be more masculine that I actually am.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and I hear that. And it's funny because I remember when I started AFI, and I mean, I have been someone who I like dressing up and I am very girly and all these things. But I remember when I was on set, I used to... I felt like I had to dress down and I had to dress more like a tomboy or more masculine to kind of like command, you know, the right kind of attention. Yeah. Because I think also like, and I mean, look, I'm not saying like, you know, by the way, being a girl, I think like at any level of attractiveness as a girl, you can command the wrong kind of attention.
Yes.
And which sounds crazy, but it's almost like we've been marketed this idea, like if you're commanding the wrong kind of attention, that's your fault. Because why did you wear that? That's why you got the wrong kind of attention. And I think that, you know, we started doing this before the hashtag Me Too.
That's right.
We started doing this before. So it was like my time of, you know, when I started working in this industry, I remember I worked at international distribution for a year.
Oh, nice.
Before I went to AFI. And I worked in a team with 12 men and me. I was the only female in the entire company.
I know that uncomfortable feeling of being the only woman in the room.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it
and the way they were talking about, like, for example, we would have a lunch meeting. And then it was like the waiter would come and it was like the waiter would leave and it would be like, oh, did you see the tatas on that hoochie? It was like,
oh my
whoa,
God.
you know what I mean? And it was like, and we're like in the middle of a lunch and it's like everyone's just checking out the waitress's tits, I guess. Like that's, you know, like, but it was like, and so I kind of like got this message of like, oh, well, you know, it's kind of like the waitress's fault because like she, you know, she tried to take that kind of, you know, and so I started telling myself, oh, well, you have to kind of not look like this so people don't look at you like that so that you can get the right kind of attention, which is like the more manly kind. And it's interesting. Maybe I was in that headspace feeling like I'm, you know, manly, like, you know,
exactly.
but I've also kind of learned like you with time to come back to that's not who I am. And I can command the attention that I want wearing whatever I want. And if there's an attention that I'm receiving that's not the attention that I'm looking for,
then that's their problem.
That's their problem. That's not my problem.
Your problem.
That's not my problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. And it's funny because I'm thinking as you're going to the example of the waitress, for example.
Yeah.
I don't feel that they understand that when they talk something about any other woman in the room, you're going like, oh, so that's how you talk about me when I'm not around.
Yeah, of course.
And then you have a lot of trust issues in that relationship because it's something just revealed to you. So there's some sort of like sisterhood that happens between women, even to the woman that you don't know, but just you see your male friend treating this woman this certain way, and you're like, oh, so you're that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
very interesting.
So in our class, how many female cinematographers were there and how many male cinematographers?
Yeah, they have been very aware of this issue for the longest time. There's this pre-Me Too movement and AFI accepted, so we are total 28 cinematographers in each class. And if I'm not mistaken, we were 11 women cinematographers, which is like almost half parity.
Yeah.
And that was something that they were already working on around then to make sure that we were both genders were very well represented in the class. Yeah. And it's funny because the day that they called me for the interview to get into AFI, I had this male friend cinematographer that got called like right after me. So at that point, I was sure that we were both competing for the same spot. And they chose me. And I think it's about that consciousness of like, how many male cinematographers do we have to balance that out? Now they have a program for cinematographers. It's like cinematography intensive for women.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's like I think 2 weekends or 1 weekend that they only accept women early in their career to be at AFI and to take advantage of the amazing programs that they have, you know, and get introduced in the industry. So yeah, it was already a good number And, that's great that AFI has been thinking about.
Yeah, about all of that.
Yeah.
What was your favorite project you worked on?
So, very tough question. As I was saying, when I think about good experiences on a project, when I watch a project, it's like, oh, that was a good set. It always comes down to the people that you're working with. So how people are treating each other and how they're having not necessarily fun, but just like feeling good about the experience as a whole. And it's funny because you go to AFI, you take yourself very seriously. So right after AFI, I was like, I just want to do dramas and all of that. But it happened that I was being called for comedies. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I realized that when you're on set with a comedy, people are happier for some reason.
I agree with that.
We're like actually having fun.
Yeah.
So these days, whenever a comedy hits me up, I'm like, yes.
Yes.
It's going to be a fun set. It's going to be that good experience. Because sets can be very tough. They're very challenging. Like anything can happen. And yeah, if you're just having a good time and hanging out with like nice people, it's a boost. And I think it's a boost of creativity as well, because you feel safe to like experiment. And, so mostly these days, comedies.
What would you say, because I think a lot of my experience and everyone that I think has come on this podcast, everyone's a creative or an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the experience is that there's moments of a lot of work and a lot of excitement, and then moments of nothing.
Yes.
And moments of stillness and moments of uncertainty and not knowing what the next job is going to be. So, have you experienced that? And how do you deal with it? How do you keep going? Or is there any habits you've put in place or anything that has kind of helped you with mindset to keep going?
Yes, definitely. And I think that's a very important topic, especially right now.
Yeah.
Because we are in LA, the industry is recovering still. So it's not where it used to be. And yes, we're looking at a lot of downtime with crew and heads of departments. For me, it's a lot to do with staying inspired, So understanding what are the things that I can be doing, that I can be surrounding myself with that are going to keep my spark up, So maybe that's reading a book. Maybe that's like music. I have a very close relationship with music. That did not come out. It was just like I just have like a visceral relationship with music, as a lot of us do. So sometimes it's that, like discovering a new artist and then going to the concert and experiencing their art. So you can bring that into the conversation when you are on a project. Yeah. So that helps a lot. Like something I was just doing this Christmas and New Year's, I had like around 3 weeks of like complete downtime.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what can I be doing right now? And I just learned that Akira Kurosawa actually has an autobiography. I did not know that. So I'm late on that information. So it's like, okay, I'm going to read it. I'm going to try to give it a read. I thought it would be like very technical and not for me. And he just like kind of talks about his childhood. It's so easy read. And then that inspired me to like watch his movies in sequence.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, oh, so around this time in your career, you were doing this movie and that's what was happening to you. So that was very inspiring for me because he did not have a very easy life the way we like to think. So just relating to that, building community is big. From AFI, there's a collective called International Collective of Female Cinematographers.
Oh, cool.
And we are always thinking on ways of like supporting each other and even have those talks. Like one of the things that we were thinking about doing is just like having honest, unfiltered conversations from established cinematographers that will come and talk to us about like a time in their life that things were not going the way they wanted it to be going. And because I remember at AFI, there was this, and I think it was Bob Elswit, and he came to talk to us. And instead of bringing the latest amazing movie that he had shot, he brought the very first feature. And that was like a rom-com with like not known actors that he was doing with his friends. And he was like, I'm doing this on purpose because that's what you're going to be doing after AFI.
Yeah.
You're not going to be doing like the big movie that I just shot. You're going to be doing this. And that did so much for me back then. It was like, I was just realizing like there's a career path that's different for all of us.
Yeah.
And you're going to hit your roadblocks. So having like hearing that from established people that you look up to, that sometimes things are not great, you know? I remember when I read this interview from Rachel Morrison, and it was really quick that she just like, and then there was a time it was really tough. I was reading like instant noodles from my microwave. And that stayed with me because like this is like the reference in female cinematography right now. At the time, she was the only nominated female cinematographer.
Yeah.
And she's like being very honest. Like, no, it was not always rosy, you know? It's not always like you're doing this amazing project. So, just trying to keep inspired, trying to be around people so you know it's not only with you. That's very important.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Because it is easy to forget that everyone goes through it.
Yes.
And the more I'm doing it, the more I'm realizing that at any stage, at any level of your career, you're going to have moments that feel really on and really off.
Yes.
And I have friends now who are very famous, and they have moments that are off. Yeah. And it doesn't change. It's just there's moments that are on and moments that are off. But it's very hard because, you know, I think as creatives, we're a little bit like adrenaline junkies.
Yes.
And so like we want so badly to be in the doing. But sometimes when I'm in the doing, and especially now that I'm a mom, sometimes when I'm in the doing, I'm like, this is too much doing. I need time off. Do you know what I mean? But then the minute it's time off, I'm like, I need more doing. What's going on? Who am I? Why am I not doing more? And so one of the big things I'm really still in the process of learning is how to be okay in the whatever it is.
Oh,
so
nice.
Being like, this is less doing and that's okay. This is being more present and less doing. And then sometimes this is more doing and that's okay. And I have less time and that's okay. And just kind of like trying really hard to sink into each moment, like from the outside of me and being like, it's okay. This moment's okay, just as it is. It doesn't have to be something else.
Yes.
Because I think, you know, and as women too, I think there's a lot of guilt and a lot of, you know, it's like, I should be doing this. I should be doing more. I should be, you know, and it's like, exhausting.
And you know, it's really hard, especially these days with social media.
Oh God. Yeah.
Because that's another layer that's not helping you with being okay with the present and the way how the present is being right now. Because you go like, maybe I'm like in that mode of like reading a book and like getting inspired by movies and that's feeding my soul. But then I log in on social media and I see someone is like on set doing an amazing thing. And I start doubting myself like, you know, like it's hard because it's a lot of comparison. It's so involuntary that you do. So trying to keep true to whatever the moment is presenting right now. It's really important.
So what would you say is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just starting their career as a cinematographer? What's something you wish someone had told you?
Yes, that it would be to do with like, yes, it's a very technical field. And you will have to learn about exposure and like lens and focal length and all of the numbers that people make fun of, like the cinematographer talk, like this is a 2.8, this is a 50, like what does that mean? But that is just something that it's like learning how to write. Like you're learning the technical of the letters, but what are you going to write? Like how are you going to apply this knowledge? That is the most important thing. So we love toys, like as cinematographers. Like we're like, what's the latest camera? What's up with the lighting revolution right now, and all the LUTs and all of that. But it's not really about what camera you're using, but where you're placing it, and that creative choice that only comes from you. You know, that's the story that you want to say, that you want to tell, and how you want to say it. So yes, technical, so important. You have to maintain the good quality of a movie and make it look amazing. But don't forget about the creative, because cinematography is technical creative.
Yeah.
So you can, and I did that, and I'm guilty of that. It was kind of like a way of hiding myself, would be to present myself very technical. So I will be the person that's in charge of like exposing your movie right, and like keeping your noise level at the same level for every shot and all of that. And after a few years, I realized, like, if I'm only that, then why am I here?
Yeah.
Because there will be so many people that can do that too.
Yeah.
So what can Andressa bring to the table that's unique to me, and that will make people want me?
Yeah.
And not just any cinematographer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's your point of view.
Exactly. And yeah, and you have to do the work of like understanding who you are, and you know, your references and the things that move you, and keep checking on that. Because if you go through the route of like going to school the way I did, people will be talking a lot about the technical, because it is very important, and I understand that. But you kind of have to do your homework on like, okay, great, I know how to write, but now I'm gonna know what I want with this. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, and where can people find you and your work?
Yeah, so my work is mostly on my website. So that's my first and last name, andressacordeiro.com. And on Instagram, you can find me at andressacor.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This was amazing.
Thank you for being here.